What's up, guys? Here is your guide to self-defense through MMA. What self-defense tactics should you learn to defend yourself against an attacker? Obviously, this is a one-on-one situation where someone's trying to attack you in the streets or whatever scenario you are in. Definitely not a weapon. I'm not telling you how to defend yourself with a weapon or gun training or anything like that. That's a different guru. Go to them instead. But I would say, so I was in the UFC for 8 years almost. I was a top 10 fighter, and I've been in a lot of street fights because I was a bouncer at multiple clubs for many years. I probably was in the club industry 8 to 9 years of my life. So I was in there for a long time, working at multiple places here in Dallas-Fort Worth, and I've been in a few street fights, right? So I would say for the average person that wants to just know how to defend themselves in the streets and what martial arts are a waste of time and what martial arts are the best, for one, boxing is the best. I don't care what anybody says. Boxing. Anybody who comes to attack you is going to be throwing hands. So a lot of martial arts can be, a lot of techniques within the martial arts can be a waste of time. Like if you're training Muay Thai, there's no one in a street fight coming to throw a teep at you. They're not throwing a front kick. They're probably not going to clinch you and knee you in the face. And I'm speaking to someone that's defending themselves against an untrained athlete. Remember, most people that train at MMA gyms aren't bullies and don't go out and start fights. So they're probably not the one attacking you if you're trying to defend yourself, right? So your plan would be this. I would say this is a 2 to 3 year plan. You do this for 2 to 3 years, and then you never have to do it again, and you've learned enough skills to defend yourself in the majority of situations. I would say learn some boxing. Maybe even go to a boxing gym for 6 months. The good thing about boxing gyms, if you're a regular person, is like you're just a regular student trying to learn and not trying to actually be a competitor, is boxing gyms are very cheap. They're very affordable compared to mixed martial arts gyms. So I would say definitely focus a lot on boxing. Maybe even go to a boxing gym for 6 months. I would say also learn, of course, jiu-jitsu. I would say learn some wrestling, and I would say learn more Greco-Roman wrestling, right? If someone, let's say the attacker is bigger than you in a street scenario, they're not shooting double legs and grabbing you below your waist. Most likely they're going to come grab you, like almost like bear hug you or grab you from the upper body. So learning how to pummel, learning how to do body locks, maybe front headlocks, even upper body stuff would be a good option for takedowns and takedown defense as far as a street scenario, right? So some Greco-Roman wrestling could be very good, or at least have your coach at whatever MMA gym you're at teach you some upper body stuff, assuming they know it, right? So I would say 6 months at a boxing gym, or make sure your MMA gym focuses a lot on hands and a lot on boxing. And you have to spar 2 or 3 days a week. You don't have to spar kickboxing every day. You can spar once a week, twice a week. I made a previous video about this. You can go back and look at the pattern of the curriculum I gave. I said, train 2 or 3 years, twice a week. 2 hours a day, so 2 hours a day, twice a week, so 4 hours a week to get an associate's degree in fighting was one of my previous videos. So I would say the particular martial arts, you need to make sure you're training boxing. Anybody attacking you in the streets with strikes is not coming at you with leg kicks or teeps. They're coming at you swinging haymakers at your face. So you need to learn how to deal with that. So boxing and sparring, and remember, this doesn't have to be hard. Like I stated in the previous video, you don't have to go. You shouldn't be going 100% all the time if you're a regular student, but going 60 to 70% could really teach you how to deal with the brutality of someone coming and swinging at you, right? And you need to know a little bit on the ground. I would say you need to focus on learning a few sweeps, learning like 3 sweeps where you're not stuck on bottom. Maybe a couple submissions from the bottom, but I wouldn't go more than 2 or 3 submissions from the bottom as far as self-defense. I would mostly just focus on being on top. So focus on reversing them, maybe a bump sweep, maybe a butterfly sweep, just learning 2 or 3 sweeps where and getting a couple thousand reps on these moves so you could hit them in a scenario where should someone end up on top of you. And some Greco-Roman wrestling would be a good option, and boxing with some low kicks. So that's a pretty simple plan. I would say boxing with low kicks would be your striking arsenal you want to work on. I say low kicks because low kicks are very, very effective without shin guards, very effective. And no one knows how to deal with them. And no one in the street suspects them of someone about to leg kick you, right? When I was a bouncer, I used to kick people in the legs quite a bit, right? And every time they'd look at me, with their eyes just like they couldn't believe it that someone would kick them in the leg. So they were definitely shocked by the attack, right? And you need to know, so boxing, hands, dealing with hands, even if you plan on just staying long and jabbing and leg kicking them a few times to stop the fights, you need to learn how to deal with the haymakers coming at you. So boxing with some Muay Thai, maybe even some Dutch kickboxing would be really good. Dutch kickboxing is really good for street defense, I would say, because they focus a lot on hands as well as the kicking, right? And all of their kicking, their leg kicking combinations finish with start with a hand combination and finish with the leg. And I trained in Holland for a month back in 2014. I went there and stayed for a month and trained at 3 different gyms, and that was phenomenal training. So I would say Dutch kickboxing would be phenomenal for self-defense. And realistically, if you train that enough, you don't really need a bunch else from a striking standpoint. So I would say Dutch kickboxing would be your best option for a street scenario because they box and they throw low kicks. And I would say a little bit of upper body wrestling would be best, and jiu-jitsu, some sweeps from the bottom, and don't focus on trying to submit people off your back. Focus on getting on top, and if you can't submit them, at least if you could hold, get into a position where you could hold mount or even a half guard, you could do enough damage where the threat is neutralized or until someone else is coming to assist you and help break the situation up. So that's just my piece of advice. Find a gym that teaches Dutch kickboxing would be the best option. If not, Muay Thai, but make sure you box. Make sure you box a lot to be able to deal with hands, be able to deal with leg kicks, or be able to throw leg kicks, do Muay Thai or Dutch kickboxing, and do about 2 years of jiu-jitsu, 2 or 3 days a week, nothing major, 2 or 3 days a week for and some upper body wrestling, and you're pretty much set in the streets. And if you do this and take this serious 2 to 3 days a week for 2 or 3 years, it's highly unlikely that you would get in a scenario that you couldn't defend yourself at least somewhat if you train that long. So that's my advice, guys. That's your guide to defending yourself with martial arts. Thank you, guys. If you are new to martial arts and you're looking for a gym in your area, get my book, The Ultimate Guide to Choosing Your Martial Arts School and Instructor. Link is in the description below. And if you got any other subjects you'd like me to talk about, let me know. Just leave a comment below. Thank you, guys.